Hi, sorry, I don't quite know what happened. I think Facebook just threw me off, so I'm going to try again. What we're doing is I'm showing you some techniques on how to do some colouring using watercolour pencils, blender pen and an artist pen. Hopefully I won't get thrown off this time because I didn't realise I was blabbering away and then I saw on the screen that it's actually stopped. So all I just did was using colouring, quite simple colouring. So all we do is I just colour in like that and go over the colouring with a blender pen to get the watercolour effect. That is a very simple way of colouring. It is quick and easy and great, especially if you're a beginner learning how to get the pressure right. A couple of tips when just doing normal colouring: the further down the pencil that you hold it, the lighter you're going to get. So when you go up here, you get quite a nice light colour. If you come to the top, the pressure that the way you're holding the pen applies a lot more pressure, so you get a much darker colour. I tend to hold my pen down the middle of the pencil, which means I get a greater control over the depth of colour that I can do. I can go really dark or I can go really light. It's just tips on how to hold the pen. So next, what I'm going to do is show you how to do some more blending and more of an artistic kind of way to do it. So I like to start at an outline and go thick around an edge of the piggy. I'm going to show you in a second how to make it look realistic, but at the moment I'm just showing you how to do some blending. So I go round the edge of my pig in quite a dark colour, and then I'm just going to go in a lighter touch to create a lighter colour on next to it. Now I'm not going to do the whole pig because I'm going to bring the colour outwards. So all I do here is I start from the edge, go around the edge of the pig, and as you can see I'm getting a really bright pink now because I basically have put so much more ink on the pig. So start around the edge, and then I'm just going to gently go round the circle and pull that ink inwards. And you just keep on going until you've coloured the whole pig. And what this does is this creates a really light effect in the middle of the pig. Now some of the ink might still be in the pen, you can just add some colour to other areas. So that is, again, a really easy way to blend the colour in, and this kind of gives it more of a 3D effect. So when you are colouring and you want to make it look lifelike, the best way to do this and the easiest trick to learn for me is to create an arrow of where the sun would be. So here's my sun, and here's the arrow downwards showing me where that's going to go. So if you're trying to get oh, Bex, I absolutely am addicted to these pigs too. They're just so cute. So if you're trying to get more of a real life effect, I follow the sun. So where the sun hits is where you have your lightest image. Where the sun isn't and where there would be shadow is where it's darkest. The sun's here, my darkest area is going to be around here. So what I do is I start with my dark area and I use close to the top of the pen. So I'm using quite a lot of pressure and I put in real big outlines. So this piggy's bum is going to be quite dark because here is where the sun is least likely to hit. Underneath his belly, likewise, the sun's not going to be there, so I need quite a nice dark image. Here, the sun is going to hit, but just here, it's probably not going to be too bright. The sun is also going to hit the top of the pig, so again, I'm going to leave that bright. I'm going to go inwards, the same way we did here. I'm going to build the colour up. So around its bum, it was going to be quite dark, so I'm just going to keep on going with my dark pen. Around a third, I'm going to move my fingers up the pen and I'm going to keep on colouring with relative pressure, but not the same amount. And when I get to the final third, I'm going to put my fingers right at the top of the pencil and just lightly colour up. Now, as you can see here, I've kind of already created an ombre effect. So you can see where it's darkest and you can see where it's lightest. What I'm going to do now is watercolour this part of the pig. It's best to always start, personally, I start darkest, work my way up. So I'm going to colour in its little legs and then start with the bum. And you can do this in sweeping motions or in little circles. It's really personal preference. Either way works well. So once I've done the third, I like to use my blender pen, wipe off just a little bit, just so I'm going to make sure that I really pick up the middle width of colour and not drag all of the dark all the way on. Just blending this all together. And you should start to see that my little piggy is going to have a gradient feel to it. You're going to be able to see where the sun is hitting his face. And because I'm using a blender pen, it picks up the ink, and I'm using shimmery cardstock, which means it's almost like watercolour card, so it doesn't peel so easily. So you can start to see now that I've got more of a realistic piggy. One thing that I would like is I'd like to be a little bit darker around the bum. So I'm just going to go over with my pencil the bum area, and then with my blender pen, and then it's just a little bit darker. So here you can see now that I've got quite a nice gradient of my pig. Another tip when you're trying to make things look lifelike is to take a grey pencil and add some shadow just under where the pig, where the darkest parts are. And this helps create a feeling of shadow that the sun would naturally create. Now, I find the grey pencil is very light, so when you blend it out, it does look very natural. If you'd like to use the white pencil, you can do that on some of the lighter parts, just to help add to the kind of the glare the natural sun would give. So this is how I do a natural kind of effect. Now I'm going to show you that with the watercolour pencils you can also create patterned effects. So my piggy is going to have spots all over him. So I'm using the shimmer paper. So I'm not sure if you will be able to see. If I hold it right up to the light, it's got kind of nice shimmer. This for me is the best cardstock to use for watercolouring. It's not as thick as the watercolour paper. It is very smooth, unlike the watercolour paper. Has glitz in, which I love. I love a bit of shimmer. Means you can't really use the Wink of Stella because it's already glittery, but it is by far my favourite cardstock for colouring. The Whisper White, while it does work, I find starts to peel. You have to be very, very gentle when you're using the Whisper White or very vanilla. I don't know why my throat started to get sore as soon as I came online. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to do this in a different colour now. I'm going to go for a brown piggy. And what I'm going to do is, using my fingers close to the nib, I'm going to do some dark little circles. And this might at first look a little bit funny, just a speckly pig. But the idea is that I'm going to use watercolouring to pull out this effect. So first of all, just make sure my pen is clean. Then I'm going to colour over each dot with the blender pen to pick up most of the ink. And you can do this in various patterns. You could do this in check patterns. I'm using dots because it fits for the piggies. And all I'm doing is then going over the blender pen, and this will pick up some of the ink from the dots and just spread it around. And what you find is, as here, you've got some darker areas, and then you've got some lighter areas of brown, and that really highlights it as if these are really natural spots on your piggy. This is quite a fun, easy, quick technique, and like I say, you can do it in hatches, and this is quite nice if you would like a background technique. You just go over it, and then you have quite a fun different way to create some texture. The spots work for pigs because you do get some pigs that are naturally like speckled and spotty. So now I'm going to show you how to use the aqua painter. This has water in it. You just need to give it a bit of a squeeze to get the water out at the top. This is to do some more true watercolouring. How I do my watercolouring is I do a relatively thick outline around the whole pig. And this is quite similar to the technique I showed you earlier on this piggy here. But watercolouring allows you to pick up the ink a lot more. So just going around the edge. As you can see, I'm doing it quite roughly. Picking up my pen, I'm just going to pick up the colour and move it around. Now, watercolouring makes it so easy to pick up the ink because the ink literally just becomes like paint. The pencil just becomes like paint. If you leave this to dry, you are able to add more pencil to it and create some more shades with it. Again, you just clean off the pen. And finally, I'm going to show you a technique. If you have some blocks and you have your pencils, you can use the pencils and scribble on the block, and you can use your blender pen to pick up some of the pencil and colour in. Now this is going to give you a really, really light colour. So I'm going to get a very light baby pink as I do this. And I'm just going to do it in small sections, and I'll gradually fill up my piggy. So this technique can take a little bit of time, but it just allows you to have a little bit of control over the colour, and also gives you the opportunity to create some lighter colours. If you're using this with a group of people, you can all use many pencils at once. I think it's interesting to try and create different effects. With the doing it this way, you don't tend to have one consistent kind of colour, so you do get different tones throughout the pig. Now you can keep on going over and kind of trying to get one full colour, or you can have it with the effect of just having many different colours. What I would do here is build up the colours so that I can add some shading. But while you're practicing with your shading, you can you don't need to have every image shaded perfectly. Just give it a go. One thing you can do if you like the effect of colouring but you don't have maybe the patience or the inclination to colouring the full pig, you can just shade around certain areas like such, and then you can just add some watercolouring, blending over the areas you've coloured in, not necessarily pulling it out very much. But you've just got a little bit of watercolour and a hint of colour throughout the pig. This is a way, if you're maybe mass producing, you're making 100 cards, you just add a hint of colour to the image rather than colouring the whole thing in. Now I'm going to show you one of my favourite techniques with watercolouring, and that's to use a smoky slate ink colour and stamp it off multiple times. So I'm going to ink my stamp, and then I'm going to stamp off 1, 2, 3 times, and then stamp onto my cardstock. Now it's going to be incredibly light. You might not even be able to see it on the camera. If I hold it up close, you can just about see it. It's very, very faint. So the idea with stamping this so lightly is because what you're going to do is you're going to create a hand-drawn effect pig. So we're going to use the blender pen and we're going to go over the lines of the pig. Now this will make the image even fainter, but what this is going to do, it means when you've finished, it's going to have a hand-drawn effect. So I'm going to colour in my pig, and I'm going to do it fairly lightly to go with the effect. Now, when I'm colouring, what I'm doing is I'm going to give some longer strokes, whereas before I've been condensing my strokes. Now I'm going to go for some nice long strokes. And this will just help add to the effect. Now, I can see the image probably clearer than you can on the video because it is so light. But I'm just going to try and colour in the image. And then what I do is I'm going to take my grey and I'm going to draw around the image that already exists. And rather than trying to do it all continuously in one stroke, I'm going to do, as you can see, in many strokes going around. So it really does pick up that hand-drawn effect. Because I've already got the drawing there, I'm not actually hand drawing it. I'm just tracing around. Once I've drawn, I'm just going to go over this in the blender pen, and this just helps even more to give that effect. So this is a technique that takes a fair amount of time. You need to slowly build up everything you do. But I've got an example here using Beautiful You of where I have drawn my lady. I have used the smoky slate to make it a good drawn effect, so it looks as if I spent some time doing some artistic drawing. Fortunately, this technique doesn't really show well on the camera because it is so delicate. I will take a few pictures of this. Now, I just wanted to show you, this is one of my cheat sheets that I use when I'm colouring. As you can see here, I've shown you how to do the 3D image. Again, the spotty technique, this is just dashes to create rain. And here I've used the watercolour pencil. Now, when I get a new type of stamp where I'm going to colour it in, I like to make one of these sheets. Here I have now my piggy one. And this just means that in the future, when I'm colouring in, I can look at my sheet and remember how I did the different types of colouring. For me, colouring is so relaxing, so I do it most evenings just to de-stress, relax from the day. I do like to put some on the cards that I make, and I did have a sample, but I think I've managed to not put it within reach. I'll take a picture of the card that I did using the little piggy and some watercolouring for you to look at. The best advice I can give you when it comes to watercolouring is to just give it a go. It's one of those things that with practice you get so much better, and it really can add special effects to the cards. The unique thing about colouring is no two cards are ever going to be the same, so you can, even if you're making batch cards, you tend to find that you get lots and lots of unique, beautiful cards to share. And also, hand coloured cards just look so artistic as well. Oh yeah, the pigs are so cute. They're honestly one of my favourite things in the new set because they just look adorable. When we were on stage, Charlotte, who is a lady who works at Stampin' Up Europe, showed you how you can make little tutus with ribbon. Now when I get that ribbon, I'm going to be making my piggies little tutus because that is just the cutest thing. The new catalogue is live 1st of June. If you haven't already received a catalogue from me and you would like one, please send me a message and I'll get one in the post to you as soon as I can. I hope you've enjoyed watching and I hope you've picked up some tips on how to colour. If you've got any questions, just let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. And I hope you get some colouring. I'd love to see what you're making. I hope you have a lovely evening. I'll see you again next week.